If you're using your iPhone at Disney, I have 10 basic but super helpful tips to help you come home with photos that you love. Hi, I'm Carrie. I am a photographer and a huge Disney Parks fan. As you can tell, I'm not at Disney World today, but I am at my second favorite place in the world. I'm on Washington Island. I'm at my favorite beach called Schoolhouse Beach. My favorite place in the world is the Hubgrass at Magic Kingdom. So please let me know below where your favorite place in the world is, and if you've ever been to Washington Island. But I'm on vacation with my family this week, and I'm using my iPhone for photos a lot, and so I wanted to share these 10 tips to help you get awesome photos at Disney. Okay, before I dive into the tips, let's start with the basics, the things that you have to bring with you if you plan on taking photos with your iPhone at Walt Disney World. The number one thing you have to bring with you, along with your iPhone, is of course your charger to charge your phone in the room, but also a battery pack to bring with you to the parks, a portable battery. Unfortunately, phone batteries just drain really fast at Disney because we're all using our phones to be on the My Disney Experience app, to check the wait times for different rides, change our lightning lanes, all those things. And then if you're also planning on using your iPhone as your main camera, you want to be sure that you have some extra battery power so that you can charge your phone back up when you need to, so that you don't run out of battery halfway through the day and don't get an opportunity to photograph things that you were hoping to take photos of. The second thing is making sure that your storage is available, that you have enough storage to take photos while you're there, and to be sure that you have a way to get large files off your phone if you need to while you're at Disney. Because the worst thing is when you're trying to take a photo or trying to do something and your storage is completely full. So either have your iCloud account set up so that it's automatically getting those photos or videos off your camera. So check out your storage, check out your iCloud, kind of check everything out to be sure that you're ready to roll before your vacation. Now for the actual tips. The best thing you can do to set yourself up for a good iPhone photo is to clean the lens every single time before you take a picture. When you are at Disney, things are hot and sweaty and you're probably wearing sunscreen. If any of that stuff gets on the lens, especially like sunscreen, makeup, lotions, that kind of thing, it will smudge the lens, and those type of photos are nearly impossible to edit to make them look really crisp and clear again. So every time before I take a picture, I take my iPhone, I flip it over. Sometimes I'll do a little huff huff on the lens. Otherwise, I'll just rub the lens on my shirt to get it nice and clean, make sure it's smudge free before I take a picture, especially if you have kids. If you're letting your kids play with your phone while they're in line, if you're playing with your phone, it is always a good idea to clean off that lens before you take a photo. The second thing that is super helpful is probably before you leave for your Disney trip to be sure that you know the fastest and easiest way for you to open the camera app on your phone. That might sound kind of basic or silly, but if the only way you know to open your camera app is to swipe up, put your password in, get to your camera app and click it, that's like 6 more steps than you need to really be doing. I prefer to open my camera from the lock screen. If your phone is locked, usually there's like the flashlight and the camera button on the bottom. If you just hold your thumb on there a little firmly, it will just open the camera app for you. My husband and I both have iPhone 16 Pro Max, and he loves this new button on the side with the Pro Max. That's how he gets his camera open every time. I can't get used to it just because I'm so used to the lock screen, opening my camera that way. But if you are not sure the fastest way to get your camera open, just play around with it and try a couple different things, see what works best for you. But you don't want to miss a moment because you can't get your camera open fast or you're not really sure where the camera app is on your phone. So before you leave, just play around a bit, practice, and just try a couple different ways of opening your camera on your phone, because there are multiple ways to do it and you might find a way that actually turns out to be faster or quicker than what you're doing now. The third thing I suggest is to always use the lenses of the camera. So using the back camera instead of like the selfie front camera where you can see the screen, the lenses that are, oh my gosh, spider. Sorry, spider. The lenses on the back of the camera have a much higher quality than the selfie camera or the camera that's like facing you if you're looking at the screen of the camera or of the phone. Those lenses will always produce a higher quality photo than the selfie type camera. So getting used to using that camera all the time is really helpful. If you really want a picture of yourself there and you're not sure how to set up your phone so that you can actually see what you're capturing, you can always ask a cast member, a PhotoPass cast member. If you get in line, they will always take your phone and take a photo for you, which is super nice. You can also ask strangers. If you see somebody else, another family that needs help taking a photo, offer to take their photo, and then you can ask them if they'd be willing to take your photo as well. Okay, so the next two things I do are I turn off my flash and I turn off my low light or the night mode option on my iPhone. Now, the reason I turn the flash off is because I don't want to accidentally take a picture on a ride and have my flash go off in front of everyone. I am always more of a proponent of getting photos in natural light versus in the dark. I definitely suggest turning your flash off. And then I also turn the night mode off on my phone as well. And that's because night mode is meant to take a photo over many seconds to get as much light into the photo as it can possibly get. I turn night mode off because typically, if I am trying to take a photo in the nighttime, I'm okay with the amount of light that's coming in. Let's say there's a moment going on and I click my shutter to take a photo and night mode is on, it's going to just, it takes like 2 seconds sometimes to capture the whole photo. And that can be really annoying when something is happening fast because those photos just turn out blurry. Turning night mode off is a very good idea unless you plan to sit super still and you're meaning to take a photo with night mode. So turn off night mode and turn off your flash for you to have better quality and just a better experience with your iPhone photos. All right, so let's talk about zooming now. So I will always recommend to zoom in by moving your body forward rather than doing the old screen pinching zoom. When you pinch your screen to zoom into a photo, all that the iPhone is doing is it's basically cropping your image that you're already on. It's using the lens that you're already on and cropping that image down. So if you have an iPhone 11 Pro or higher than that, your camera has 2 or 3 lenses on the back. When you look at when you're looking at your screen to take a photo, you'll see the little circles down below. It's usually 0.5, 1, 2, and 5. So the 0.5, 1, and the 5 are actually representing the actual lenses if you have the Pro Max. And those buttons will actually, if you click the button, that will actually change to the different lens in the camera. Those photos are always going to be a much higher quality than zooming in with your fingers. So if you want to zoom in on something, let's say you're taking photos of the parade and you want to zoom in on a certain character, try to get out of the habit of pinching and zooming in because all that the iPhone is doing is just cropping down the image in the same lens of what you're already using. But if you are looking at the photo and you cannot move your body any closer, if it's a parade, you can't really walk any closer, then click the number 5 button if you have that option, and it will use the bigger lens that you have on your iPhone and it will come out with a much, much, much nicer photo. Otherwise, if you have the opportunity or the ability to walk forward, move your arms out, and zoom in manually, those photos also will always turn out much better than just zooming in on the screen. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some different options for different styles of photos you can take on your iPhone. So the first type that I love and I use all the time at Disney is the live mode. So this is probably on automatically already on your phone, and you've probably seen these photos as well, but the live mode icon is represented. There's like a bunch of little circles. Now this is a way that the iPhone captures, it's like a moment before and the moment after you're actually hitting the capture button for the photo. And the reason I really, really, really like the live mode for Disney World is because let's say you're taking a family group photo or photos with a character. If you take one photo, the chance of someone's eyes being closed or something happening is pretty high. So if you take live mode, let's say you take 4 or 5 live mode photos, what you can do after you take those photos is when you edit that photo, if you look at the photo and you hit the little button to edit, again, if you hit the little circle button that represents live mode, you can toggle through the entire moment and see if there's a moment that's better. So if there's a moment where everybody had their eyes open, or there's just like an expression that you like better than what the iPhone thinks is the best photo for you, you can select that and make that your key photo, which just comes out of that live photo moment. But what I just love doing that. I do this very frequently because there might be a moment where I want a certain thing to be shown on the photo, but the iPhone will pick what it thinks is the best photo. But you get the power to manually slide through and decide which moment you like the best. So I really like live mode for that reason. The other mode that I use pretty frequently at Disney is the portrait mode. So I love portrait mode because it makes that really pretty blurry background. Like what I have right now, I'm shooting this on my iPhone in cinematic mode. And so there's somebody swimming behind me. So I like the fact that it's not going to like zoom in on this person. You won't be able to see them. I like having a blurry background. And so that's what portrait mode does. Portrait mode does what a DSLR does with a very small f-stop. So it's basically compressing the photo for what's in focus, and it's only going to make a small portion of the photo in focus so that the rest of the background is really, really, really blurry and really pretty. So the thing I like about this as well is after you take the photo, you can play with it when you edit it and you can change the f-stop. So let's say you take a picture with three of you, around and someone's behind you, if their face is blurry, you can actually go in and edit and change it so that the f-stop is bigger, meaning they're going to be in focus, but maybe the rest of the background behind them is still a little bit blurry. Oh, these bugs, do you see them? Sorry. So, anywho, uh, I like portrait mode for that reason, but portrait mode, when you're in portrait mode, you do not get the same function as live mode. Live mode. Portrait mode just takes just the one photo in the moment. So you don't have the opportunity to toggle between all those moments. So if you're taking portrait photos, take a lot of portrait photos, because if you take one or two and you're like, oh my gosh, my friend's eyes are closed or someone was sneezing or whatever, it's good to take so many to be sure that you hopefully get one that you like. And another thing that I always do when I'm taking portrait photos is I review my photo before I walk away from whatever I'm doing. Let's say I have someone take a photo for me, I'm in front of the castle, I want to get a really good photo. I look at that photo before I walk away to be sure that it's how I want it to look and how I want it to be. If it's not, I will kindly ask the person to please take my photo again, and I will change whatever happened in the first photo, since you don't have the option to toggle through like you do for the live mode. The next thing that I do to make sure that my photos turn out really well at Disney is I turn on the grid lines on my settings on my phone. So the reason I use the grid lines is because it can help me line up my photos really nice and straight. And I also have the level on as well. And that shows me how straight my photo is looking, which I love to have. So the way to turn this on is to go to your settings, then click camera, and then click the little toggle for grid, and that will turn on your grid lines. And as you can see, they're really light and subtle, but it can help you when you're composing your photo. It can help with your photo composition to be sure that your subject is like the main portion of your photo. It can help to be sure that if you're trying to have a photo with like the rule of thirds, like this beach is a perfect example. If I have my grid on, I could get a third of the photo with the rocks, a third with the water, and a third with the beautiful sky. So the grid lines just kind of help with composure, composing the photos and making sure that everything is sort of equal or lined up how you want it to be. Okay, and these next two tips are not iPhone specific, but these are things I do every single time I'm taking a photo, whether it's with my DSLR or my iPhone. And the next tip I have is to check your edges of your photo. So that's another way the grid lines sort of help me when I'm taking photos. Like if I'm taking a photo of my kids, what I'm looking at is I'm checking the entire edge of the photo. I'm pretending I'm looking at a photo right here. I check the entire edge of the photo and I look to be sure that I'm not cutting anything off. Oh, these bugs. I be sure that I'm not cutting anything off or that I'm not making it so that their legs look like they're like cut off in the photo. I want to have a nice composition. And so when I look at the edges, I look around the entire photo to see what is being captured in the photo. This helps so many things. It can help make sure that number one, like if you're taking a castle photo, it can be sure that the entire castle is in the photo. Because if you're right up to the castle, if you're taking a photo of your kids and you're getting the kids in the shot and you're not checking the edges, you might totally cut off the whole top of the castle. So checking your edges before you actually snap the photo can be super helpful to be sure that you don't look back at your photos when you get home and get frustrated like, oh my gosh, why did I do that? And I think this is the thing that I forget the most when I'm rushing or when I'm like, I want a picture here, I want it there, I gotta go to a lightning lane, or I'm hungry. When I am rushing like that, when I'm behind the schedule, when there's so much to do, checking the edges is always the thing that I'm like, meh, I just forget to do. But if you can just remember to quickly scan the edges of your photo to be sure that everything you want is in the frame. It can be so helpful and it can really be sure that your pictures come out with a very high quality, looking very professional, very nice, exactly how you're going to want them to look. And then this tip is something that I do all the time as well. This is like my favorite, just general photography tip, I think. And it is just to move your body, to get high and to get low, and to take photos at a different angle than what our eyes are used to seeing. Our eyes are used to seeing photos or images at the height that we are currently at. And so when we take photos of a different angle or a different eye level, it can make that photo look so much more visually interesting. So if you have little kids, if you get down to their level and you look up as they're watching the Dumbo ride and you get that photo of their perspective, it is so cool to see those different photos and those different angles that you can get. If you go through your camera roll right now and go back to the last like 20 pictures you took, look at the angle or look at the eye level. I guess the height, maybe look at the height of where you took those photos. And when you go to Disney, maybe challenge yourself a little bit to get high. Like when I say get high, take your camera up high and photograph something like from the top down, like maybe some food instead of just like sitting at the table and taking your photo of the food. Maybe hold your camera up high and take a photo from that angle or get really low. So, of course, over at the castle, that's my favorite way to take photos because the castle is so tall. And if you're really close to it, if you just take a picture snapping at it, you're going to kind of like miss the height of how high and how beautiful the castle is. So if you take your iPhone and you get really really low, you can even take your iPhone and flip it upside down so that the lens is upside down. It's going to look upside down for a second, but the iPhone will flip it, or you can rotate the image to put it back upright again. But you can put your phone all the way on the ground and take a photograph like facing up towards the castle. And those types of photos or images are so much more interesting and fun and unique to look at after. And it really shows a different perspective of Disney World. I take photos like that every trip. I even think to myself, how can I change the angle of this photo? What can I do to make this photo interesting? And that's when I'm like, oh, I can get high, I can get low, I can do that, just take a different angle of what I'm currently looking at. Okay, and then the last tip really isn't a tip at all. It's just general advice just to have fun. Have so much fun taking photos of your friends and your family and yourself at Disney World. Have fun taking photos of all the beautiful sights that there are. One of my favorite things in the world is to walk around Walt Disney World with my camera and capture photos and just see how I can show Walt Disney World a little bit differently. But I love using my iPhone for photos. I get really high quality photos just from my phone. So I hope that you enjoy your time. I hope that you get really good photos. And I would love to see the iPhone photos you get. If you're on Instagram, I'm at photograph_the_magic. If you'd like to tag me in any of the Disney photos you take, I would love to see them. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.